everybody, and welcome to On the Spot. I'm Sean McInnes here, filling in for Chris Waters, who's out on vacation at the moment. I think gallivanting somewhere through picturesque New England, I'm guessing. I don't know. I don't know what Chris is doing right now. All that matters is that we're here for another great episode of today, or for On the Spot. We've got some great trivia prizes to give away. We've got some signed Fear posters signed by John Carpenter. We're giving away a special On the Spot Xbox, which is going to be awesome. And we've also got a lot of other great stuff to give away as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. But we're going to get to our very first demo of the show. And as you can tell, we've got a familiar face here. We've got Greg Kasavin from Supergiant Games here to show us Bastion.
How's it going?
It's going very well. Now that I got that extremely long-winded introduction out of the way, Greg, Bastion is a game that's been getting a lot of buzz, and the release is coming up fairly soon, right?
Yeah, no matter what at this point. We actually don't even know our exact release date yet, but what we do know is we're part of the Summer of Arcade on Xbox Live, which starts on July 20th and goes for 5 weeks. So we'll be in there somewhere, and yeah, the news about Summer of Arcade happened right during E3, and we were just absolutely thrilled about that.
All right, excellent. So you've got a new level that you're going to show us.
Yeah,
here.
This is we like to let people play Bastion from the very beginning, since kind of the narrative technique and a lot of the gameplay aspects reveal themselves kind of right away. But we did want to show something new from later on in the game as part of E3, and this is it. It's an area of the game called Rothus Lagoon. You're here for reasons that I will not get into. But,
no spoilers.
But this shows, for people who've seen the game and some of the environments and enemies and stuff where it starts off, this will give you a taste of how some of the later encounters unfold. This is from about halfway through. Show you some of our new weapons and things. I think you've actually played with this one called the War Machete.
Oh, that's
a much faster.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and then we have here the Scrap Musket, which is essentially a shotgun. It can blow these guys back and knock them clear off of ledges and whatnot. So people see that we're an action RPG, and we start you off with weapons like a bow and a hammer and things like that. So they might initially assume that it's kind of your medieval arsenal, but then it's part of our setting that we like to kind of play around with time period and show that there are these things that are a little more technologically advanced than what you get in your typical kind of fantasy game.
Now, for anybody out there who's not familiar with Bastion, I feel a little bit guilty right now because we're actually talking over one of the coolest elements of the game, which is this sort of real-time narrator who's describing most every bit of, every plot point, almost every action in the game. Greg, talk about your experience working on that narrator and what I'd imagine was probably a huge pain in your butt to implement.
Oh man, it was a ton of work, but I never saw it as a pain in the butt because it was like one of the most rewarding things I've ever gotten to work on. As you said, the game is fully narrated. It's a pervasive part of the experience, and the narrator isn't just there to kind of give play-by-play. He's there to kind of deepen your actions in the world and give the context for why you are in the locations that you're in and why you're doing what you're doing and whatnot. And he'll often respond to the actual actions that you take in the levels as you indicated. So hopefully it's a really good balance of kind of a crafted story that also feels very personal to the decisions and choices that you make.
When I got to play, I think it was maybe the first hour when you left a build of this game behind a while ago, and the moment that it really hit me that this was like something completely different was after I went into I think it was one of the upgrade screens where you go and you change one of your items there, and he actually mentioned which item I put in and gave me a reason for it, and I was like, holy crap. That is cool.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we did a lot of, part of the mindset was we've played a bunch of games where they'll have these cool moments where like the game will feed back on something that you did. But often that'll only happen like maybe once or twice in the game. Like an example I think of is even in something like Uncharted 2, the first time you get grenades, there's a big convenient box of grenades laying there, and Drake, Drake goes, he does one of his kind of smart-ass quips, and he goes like, "Oh, isn't this convenient?" Because it's the grenade tutorial. But he speaks for what the player is thinking, and our mindset was kind of like, why don't we just fill the game with stuff like that instead of having it be in 1 or 2 spots? So hopefully, players will run into a lot of it as they play, and again, feel like they had a totally unique experience compared to what someone else's playthrough.
All right, so yeah, go ahead.
And we're seeing here some of I have this other weapon here, which I don't think you did see, called the Brusher's Pike. So this is like one of our heavier long-range melee weapons, also able to be thrown and stuff like that. The whole intent of our weapon design in this game is it's not the sort of action RPG where you're constantly replacing weapons with like stronger versions of weapons. Instead, it's all about like finding weapons that really suit your playstyle. So all the weapons have their own unique mechanics to them, and their own strengths and weaknesses and whatnot, designed to be totally viable all the way through the game.
So a weapon like, that war machete that you get early on into the game, that's still going to be useful in the last level?
Yeah, absolutely. They're all like fully upgradable and have like branching upgrade paths and stuff like that. So the choices you'll be making are around, whether you want to continue investing in weapons that you have or play around with the new stuff that you got. We make sure you get a chance to try everything before you can make those kind of choices. So here's our arsenal screen, and you can access this during a lot of the levels, or you could pick between all the different weapons available to you. So this is like halfway through the game, and we already have 6 different weapons. So you can kind of extrapolate from there. I picked kind of a cool special ability here, the Pike Vault, where you have like special moves with every weapon as well. So this one, you can kind of go flying off the screen and come down spear first to land on top of guys.
So we've got a live chat going. Anybody who's watching the video right now, you can click that little join the chat button, and you'll be able to connect with some of our other viewers and ask us some questions live during the show. Greg, I've got one here for you from, I think, Lim Ak, if that's how I pronounce your username. If not, I apologize. I was wondering about the status of a PC version of the game. It's obviously coming to Xbox Live Arcade. Should we expect a PC version?
You should indeed. We have confirmed that the game is debuting on Xbox 360 and then coming to PC later this year. Since we're a team of 7 dudes, we are. It's like we don't have the game developed on every platform at the same time, so we're developing the game serially. So the 360 version of the game is pretty much complete now, and we'll be moving on to make sure, taking the time to get the PC version right. But our focus right now is entirely on the 360 launch, because basically, whatever happens next for us is going to be heavily influenced by what happens with the first launch of this game. On console. So, but yeah, we always set out to make this game kind of feel like a grand journey, and the stuff that you played previously is all kind of in this ruined city type of environment. So as you can see here, we go kind of further out into the wild, into some rather strange places here. With dangerous things lurking in the grass.
It's a very distinct art style, very distinct enemy design. Can you tell us a little bit about the guys who did the art on this game?
Yeah, the guys who did the art is actually a young lady named Gen Z. She's our artist. She's responsible for all the 2D, basically all the artwork that we have here. And yeah, we're huge fans of her work, and it's been great to see like the recognition that she's been getting. We wanted to make a 2D game. We wanted a game that was colorful and kind of expressive, but moody at the same time. And when Jen joined the team, we had an idea of the tone that we wanted to strike with Bastion, but we didn't know what the look was going to be. And as soon as Jen kind of got familiar with the fiction, she kind of nailed the look right away, and that was really exciting. And people are always surprised to find that we have one artist, because they're like, how did you do all that? And,
right.
But yeah, when we can move pretty fast being a small team, thankfully.
What's the total development time on this game? When did you guys like really start cranking on this?
It's been almost Amir and Gavin, who are the co-founders of the studio, they started working on the game basically as soon as the company was formed in September of '09. So it's been almost 2 years in the works now. Yeah, about 2 years.
Okay.
A lot of late nights.
We've got a question here from a user with a borderline vulgar name of Salty Meatballs, who is wondering what games inspired you.
Oh man, this is always. I should have a better answer prepared for this because this comes up a lot. But unfortunately, the answer is it's really like a whole bunch of different stuff. It's not any one or two things. And in fact, since we're a small team, I think everyone on the team brought their own personal influences to bear, not just as far as games go, but other media like books and film and what have you. For me personally, I'm heavily influenced by like what I consider kind of the golden age of games, which is the late Super Nintendo era, like the mid to late '90s,
right.
When you had these games like Chrono Trigger and Super Metroid that I think were just these extremely well crafted games. But then kind of the PlayStation era happened, and I think a lot of that knowledge of how to make these great 2D games, it just kind of went away. People had to relearn how to make games almost entirely, and they started struggling with 3D cameras and all that kind of stuff. So we were interested in kind of following in that tradition and seeing what we could do, almost like, you know, if people could keep making, if people still made games like that today, you know, what would they look and feel like? But, you know, as far as the combat and stuff goes, it's not just Diablo, you know, which is of course, kind of the quintessential action RPG. It's also the stuff like Bayonetta and Ninja Gaiden, you know, games that we think have really good combat in them, even though they're not necessarily action RPGs. So yeah, you know, we draw influences from everywhere. We play all kinds of different stuff.
All right, cool. Well, Greg, you know, I've mentioned this to you before, so it's old news, but the game is looking awesome. Thanks a lot for dropping by.
Yeah.
We mentioned this at the beginning of the program, but go ahead and remind everybody the general window of time when you expect Bastion to be available to download.
So Bastion is coming to the Xbox 360 this summer as part of the Summer of Arcade program, which starts July 20th. So somewhere between, you know, late July, late August, we'll be out there.
All right.
So yeah, I can't wait to see what everyone thinks.
All right, thanks a lot, Greg.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.